Alright, what's up guys? Good morning, good afternoon. Let's do a quick sound check and we'll jump right in. Good to be back. What's up Andrew? What's up Jay? Bobby, good question. So every trade alert is going to be just one contract. If I'm taking a 10% position, which maybe for my account is 15 contracts, still going to post the alert with one contract. And then you can decide, do I want to risk 2%, 5%, whatever level of risk tickles your fancy. What's up Tim? What's up Nancy? Alright guys, first order of business. An obvious statement here, but the market is pretty damn strong. Alright, open trades and close trades. So, Roblox. Not a big trade, but a solid base hit. So we're taking profits here this morning. And I think, an important detail. We bought Roblox, somewhere up here. And that little push was good for about 20-25%. The reason I try to be such a stickler for the entry a little closer to that 21 is if you buy those calls back here, now you're walking away this morning with, depending on what you buy, 50%, 75%, 100% return. And more importantly, you buy it back here, I think you take that trade off on a move under the 21. So back here you've got a little bit more risk, a little bit less risk, I should say, in comparison to buying it up here. So important details, but nice base hit nonetheless. And then we've got some calls in ADI, or the call debit spread rather. And this thing looks like she's ready to go. Fixin' to make a move. So the daily squeeze officially fires long today. And from here you should see price start to move higher. We have a buy signal on every time frame. So that tends to be a pretty good combo. Squeeze fires long. That triggers the release of energy. And all the pretty colors here aligned for a push higher. So we're looking for 200 plus. 200 plus on that ADI. And then AMD here. A little back and forth today. Gaps up at the open. I think at one point it's up 2.5%. And they kind of spanked it at resistance. But they spanked it right back into a beautiful hourly squeeze. So I think for all of us, there's the emotions of, alright, I'm long AMD. I'm checking out AMD pre-market. Alright, AMD's 120, 121. A little bit of that euphoria starts coming in. I got some calls, it's going to gap up. Right, perfect. It opens, it pumps. Then it all kind of craps the bed. That can certainly start to trigger some emotions. I think the best thing to do is just kind of take a step back and if I didn't have the trade I have right now, would I want to buy AMD? Does the squeeze, the structure, the signals, does everything still fit the bill? To pull back to the hourly 21 in a squeeze with a buy signal, nothing too bearish about that. Different story, of course, if AMD pulls back to an hourly 21, and it keeps pulling back, it's taking out 113. Alright, that's a huge problem. If we didn't have the trade we currently have, I would buy it right here, right now. So AMD holds up nicely. Now here's the thing, as far as good-looking setups that actually offer a good entry today, AMD's top of the list. We already got a little, but it is top of the list. But that all looks pretty good. So we got ADI, AMD, we got all the A's, and now we got some AI. Growing up, the only AI I knew was one Allen Iverson. But this fits the bill. weekly buy signals on the 2 hour down to the 5 minute. So overall, pretty locked and loaded. And then you've got the beauty of the nested squeeze. 5 minute, 15 minute, 4 hour, daily, and the 2 day. So y'all know the drill. 5 minute squeeze fires long. That begins to release energy. That might trigger your 15. 15 minute. Just might go on to trigger the 4 hour. And we're like right on the cusp of a 4 hour buy signal. But 5 minute squeeze fires, then the 15, then the 4 hour, then you got your daily. So that all shapes up pretty good. So we are long AI, long AMD, long ADI, and we thank Roblox for its service. Now, as far as the market goes, again, two obvious statements. One, this thing is really, really freaking strong. And two, we're extended. Super strong. All kinds of buy signals. No real indication it wants to actually pull back. But we are extended. So the thing of it is, and I tweeted something about this earlier, and not that people on my Twitter feed is necessarily a great gauge of the current market sentiment, but on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, here, there, everywhere, I'm seeing a lot of chatter along the lines of the market has to pull back. The market is extended. It has to pull back. Big tech has earnings coming up. The market has to pull back. You got the big tech rebalance. Market has to pull back. The market doesn't have to do anything. Market gonna do what the market want to do. So it's one of those things where you want to be really careful showing up with opinions. The NQ right now, so the QQQ futures, where we are right now is basically, guys, where we were right back here. Daily squeeze prints. Momentum crosses positively back above the 0 line. Big 3 indicator goes bullish. Squeeze fires. Now you're technically extended right here. Market's extended. We're hitting 2 ATR. Market has to pull back. That daily squeeze took the NQ 2,000 points. We pull back a bit. We print a brand new squeeze. Momentum crosses positive above the 0 line. Big 3 indicator goes bullish. Squeeze fires. Now, I'm not going to claim that we're gearing up here for another $2,000 push. But I think you want to be very careful about fighting the squeeze. The squeeze does a lot of good for us. We want to really, really be careful fighting the release of energy that is the squeeze. So to me, it's one of those things where, alright, I'm not going to get short just because the market is extended. Market's going to do whatever the market wants to do. But what I am going to do is think in terms of probabilities. And I think there's two sides right now to the probabilities. There's one side that says the squeeze just fired. You have buy signals on every time frame. And it's not just the QQQ. Check out the Dow. Dow Jones fires a weekly squeeze. Now the Dow might be a little extended in the short term, but you can't look at that weekly squeeze and think, oh, party's over. Dow Jones gonna throw in the towel. The squeeze just fired. If that squeeze on the weekly chart works as advertised, this thing's just getting going. You've got the weekly squeeze in the small caps. Yeah, IWM's a little extended in the short term. The weekly squeeze hasn't even fired. Then you have the equal weighted index, the RSP. And this tells us a lot, guys, about the current market. Everything, of course, is being led by technology, the semiconductors, the whole AI craze. But RSP here is shaping up in this fashion. Buy signals on almost every time frame. A weekly squeeze that yesterday just fires long. It's not just signs of a healthier market, but from a squeeze perspective, you look at the small caps, you look at the Dow, you look at the RSP, and I'm not claiming these weekly squeezes take us higher in a straight shot, but regardless of how extended the market might be on a 1-hour chart or a daily chart, I think we all kind of speak the language of the squeeze. It's a buildup of energy followed by a release of energy. Now, these might end up being the lamest weekly squeezes known to mankind. Maybe they fire for one dot, and then we're dumping back towards those lows. But I've got to look at those weekly squeezes and think they want to take the market higher. Not in a straight shot, but I think in a fashion where your pullbacks, your flushes, continue to be buyable. So there's one way to look at the market, where from a probabilistic kind of point of view, yeah, man, this thing could easily keep going. Then you got the other side of the fence that says, we got squeezes, we got buy signals, but we are kind of trading up here at these extremes. Maybe before we do see those weekly squeezes fire, maybe before the QQQ's pushing through 400, maybe we got to pull back one more time. Today, we can't look at the indicators and say, hey, here comes the pullback. But I think the most important thing to do is just respect both sides of the probabilities game. And then a little bigger picture, until things change, if we do wake up tomorrow and QQQ's pulling back to 375, I think we should all be drooling. Right? Until proven wrong, that's where we can get some nice meaty trades on the table. So we don't know if we're going to pull back. We don't know if we're going to just keep on going, riding off into the sunset. What I do know is we can control our risk in a fashion where if the market does begin to pull back, we don't want to get our asses handed to us. So I don't think this is a spot where I'm going to come in and buy out-the-money calls that expire this Friday and risk 15% of my account. And I'm not saying I would even do that back here. Point being, I don't want to be long right now in a fashion where if we wake up tomorrow and things are just simply pulling back to the buy zone, I don't want to take on all kinds of damage. So I think you'd be conscious of your position size, you'd be conscious of how much time till expiration you're giving your trades, and then I think you want to be conscious of strategy selection. There are some strategies that require that thing moves immediately, and you really can't afford any kind of dip, and then there's things that are a little bit more forgiving. So those are the things that I think we keep in the back of our mind as we just continue to operate, business as usual. We keep getting things like ADI setting up, AI, AMD. I think within reason you continue to pull the trigger. So that is that. And as far as some squeezes here, it's kind of a tricky spot, my friends. I can show you about 40 or 50 beautiful squeezes. I maybe got 2 or 3 that offer a good entry today. So Zscaler. A little bit late. That pulls back tomorrow, pulls back next week. You got something to work with. CrowdStrike. Now, it might not be a great entry today. But if you speak the language of the squeeze, party hasn't even started yet. Squeeze hasn't fired. Momentum just crosses back above 0. Might not be a great entry, but kind of tough to think that this thing's cooked. So you wait for a dip, you take it from there. AI, got a little bit of that. Workday's gonzo. Lululemon gonzo. Amazon's got earnings coming up, and that's not the best entry. MDB's a little extended. Alright, now Baidu. Baidu we could work with. So I'm going to write Baidu down as a potential candidate. Roblox, we already did our job there. Alright, okay. Canadian Pacific. Not a household favorite, but good setup. Snowflake. Catch it on a dip. IQV's taken off without us. Healthcare. I want to come back and look at a little healthcare, so we'll do that. We already have ADI. So at this point, it's, good if you got it. If you're trying to get an entry, a little juicier down towards that 190. Intel. Intel's not too far gone. Google's just kind of quiet here. Not too many buy signals, and earnings on the 25th. So for a swing trade kind of thing, once we're like 5 or 6 trading days away, I think for a swing trade, it's kind of cutting it close. Chewy. Now, Chewy's in a spot where we could work with it, so we're going to write that one down. AMD, we got some AMD, and AMAT. AMAT also in a spot where we could do a little something. So AMAT. Alright, so Baidu, CP, Chewy, and AMAT. Baidu. Daily squeeze checks out. But I think before we jump in long, we'd probably like to see it get rid of this hourly sell signal. What the sell signal indicates is the structure, the momentum. Everything's potentially shifted in a fashion here where that 1 hour chart might be aligned to start acting a bit more like a downtrend. It'll flush, it'll rally back to the 21, and then it'll roll over again. The reason we love those lower time frame buy signals is your 5-minute, 15, 30-minute hourly charts going into an uptrend. That's what can trigger that daily squeeze. So no entry in Baidu just yet. And let me see, Chewy here. 5-minute sell signal, not a huge deal. What I do like here is all the nested squeezes. Squeezing from a daily chart down to a 15-minute. And you're right on top of that launching pad. 30-minute squeeze has a buy signal. 1 hour squeeze has a buy signal. 2 hour squeeze has a buy signal. Alright, so I do like Chewy. And then AMAT. $30-minute sell signal, 15-minute sell signal. We can do a little bit better than that. So as far as a combination of a daily squeeze at the buy zone, Chewy not a bad candidate. Now, if anything, the one, and I don't think you call it a huge red flag, but the only nuisance right now is that 5-minute signal in the 5-minute sell signal in that 5-minute squeeze. If it does fire short, could turn into a little bit more of a problem. So I think the green light for an entry here And mind you, it looks pretty good, so you could take it right now. But if they can get rid of that one nuisance, pop that back above that 5-minute 21, cancel out the sell signal, and then put that 5-minute squeeze in better standing the fire long, then you got no nuisances. So Chewy we will keep an eye on, and then just make sure we're not missing out on anything here. Go crank up the scan. We've looked at all of these. We didn't look at Freeport, so we'll check Freeport. Not bad, but earnings is just around the corner. So I think for now, guys, we'll hang tight with AMD. And it might be a trade I want to add a little more to. We got that, we got the AI, and we have the ADI. Trying to wake up today. Now that the daily squeeze is fired, right? Daily squeeze just fired. Every time frame has a buy signal. Now is really where ADI has got to put on the big boy pants and get the job done. If the squeeze technically fires, and you end up right back in the range, never a great thing. So that's what I got as far as a watch list. That's my thoughts on the current status of the market. And then a little housekeeping here, guys. So as far as the big three squeeze, I got a couple more calls lined up. I got a call tonight. The good news is we're going to make the big three squeeze available at some point. Ideally ASAP, as soon as possible. As far as how we're going to release it, is it a separate indicator? All those business details I don't really have too much control over. We're still figuring all that out, so I will keep you posted along the way. But keep in mind, for all of you that have been here for a while, and for all you newer members, you got all the scans for that big three squeeze. Those are in the room drive, and then you have the you get the squeeze watch list columns. So what you don't have is the actual histogram, and then these multi-time frame labels, which of course, that's the star of the show. That's the big sexy stuff. But while we're kind of figuring out all the business end of things, this gets you to the same point. Crowd has a bull squeeze on the 2-day chart, the daily chart. Chewy has a bear squeeze on the 5-minute. This will get you to the same point. So I'll keep you updated along the way. Still figuring some things out. And then I can't go into really any detail at all. But what I can tell you is I think we got a few things in the works here that, stick around is all I'm going to say. I think potentially a few things in the works that, this is a bold statement, but I think a couple things in the works that might make this the best mastery that we got here at Simpler. A bold claim. But stick around, we got some good stuff being worked on. And then as it pertains to the big three squeeze, I'll continue to keep you updated along the way. But alright, my friends, any questions you got, any charts you want to take a look at, toss them on over. And then we're kind of in hurry up and wait mode for now. Waiting for a pullback to buy a little bit more. Or waiting for the things that we're currently long to start working out. AB, A-D-Y-E-Y. Audier. Never heard of this one before. But it's kind of in the wheelhouse of things that I like. Got a bunch of buy signals. So path of least resistance for now to the upside. And then you got a squeeze here on your 2-day chart. So yeah, that fits the bill of the thing we would typically try to trade. You take your 2-day squeeze, for example, what the squeeze gives you is compression. Catching my breath, pounding back the Gatorade, putting down the carbohydrates, gearing up for my next push. If the squeeze is incomplete, where the squeeze is an incomplete indicator, and you've got the squeeze histogram, but our job is find the compression, find that moment in time where things are likely trying to go for a big move, and then we got to have our path of least resistance indicators. So that's a great combo. 2-day squeeze gearing up for a move, buy signals across almost every time frame. That's your indication. From a probabilistic point of view, squeeze should fire to the upside. So basically a repeat of back here from late May. All kind of setting up to do the same thing. Hey, what's up, Deb? Good to see you. Good to see you. Shopify. Does Shop ever pull back? Or is it going for $100 per share now? Looking pretty good. So here's one where earnings is on the 2nd. And I actually don't think that's cutting it too close. August 2nd is 2 weeks from today. So I think as far as time till earnings, you got enough time to work with. Now, always easy to say in hindsight, but I do like the entry this morning. Couple bucks off that 21 EMA, a little bit better than I do up here. But everything looks aligned here for higher prices. Got to be quick on these dips. Got to be real quick. Yeah, came right back into that buy zone. Off she goes. Deb, Upstart's been a real sicko. Jeez. Sometimes you guys call out these names that I know have been really strong, and then in my mind as I'm typing in the ticker, I'm like, you know what, today's the day where this must be pulling back. Today's the day. Nope. Up another 10%. So this thing is doubled in 3.5 weeks. Out of that daily squeeze. Now for me and my trading, is that the spot where I'm going to try to buy it? Definitely not. Can I currently point to anything that says I'm going to get a buyable pullback? Not at all. Like everything continues to crank out that buy signal. In a perfect world in a market like this, you take your core position back here, you catch the initial breakout, catch that initial pump out of that daily squeeze, and to make the math easy, say on the easy part of that move, you pocket $1,000 of profit. Then I think you can take $200 and just keep buying out the money calls on every lower time frame squeeze. Eventually it's going to blow up in your face, but you've guaranteed you've made $800. Now you're playing with profits. So you get something like a fresh 30-minute squeeze. You take that $200, you jump in, it blows up in your face, net, you've made $800. On these kinds of things that keep going, you might make another $800 just by continuing to roll out those profits. That's the luxury I think that we're afforded when we catch these near that 21. Now you can continue to play upstart to the upside, really without fear of a huge pullback. Alright, it pulls back. I'm giving back a little chunk of my profits. This thing keeps going. Cherry on top. That's pretty crazy. Another 10%. My goodness, my goodness. Yeah, Andrew, I do like Chewy. I do like Chewy. JB, so as far as AI, why am I getting an Apple alert? I must have put an alert on Apple. Nothing to see here, guys. It's just Apple up $2 in 35 seconds. It's almost like they won't even let the market just catch its breath. Oh boy, look out. QQQ's trading sideways. Let's rip Microsoft up 5.5%. So there you go. Brand new. All-time high. If you ever got to write a book about an uptrend, here's your poster child. Just textbook. So textbook. Big push, reversion to the mean, big push, reversion to the mean. Over and over and over and over and over and over again. So Apple heating up nicely. So as far as a target here for AI, 45 to 46. So one thing that Sam's been working on in the options room, if you take your Bollinger Bands, so throw on your BBs, and then on your Bollinger Bands, change the number of deviations down to -3. Change the number of deviations up to +3. Average type exponential. So for me, usually, like the last 7 or 8 years, I've always used the Keltner channels, which of course are based off the average true range. I've always used the Keltner channels as the target on the squeeze. Squeeze fires, buy it near the 21, try to take profits off near, +2 to +3 ATR. Sam's been showing in the options room that the Bollinger Bands here, and you can change them, right? 2 standard deviation, 2.5, 3. 3 kind of being the absolute extreme, where I think it's something like 97% of the time. And then I'll try to get him in here. He can kind of take you guys through it. But something like 90, 95+% of the time, the move is capped under the that 3 standard deviation level. Like very, very rare to run and trade through that level. So as far as these daily squeeze plays, and I think you'll find it might kind of put you in the same ballpark. 3 standard deviation, 3 average true range moves, kind of, in some cases, kind of the same. But kind of taking the probabilities that say, hey, 90+% of the time, you're not going to push through that 3 standard deviation band. Trying to take profits into that level. So for AI here, if we're pushing through 45, 46, it might continue to go. But if it's one of those things where 90-ish% of the time, that's kind of the meat of the move, that I think is a good spot to cash on in. He had a great trade the other day in Nvidia. A little ballsy. But Nvidia gapped up on Friday. It gapped up like $20 above that 3 standard deviations. And from that, Sam went and bought some cheap puts. And caught that flush. I don't think he rode the whole flush, but I think those puts went from like 50 cents to $7. Now, if you held those Nvidia calls, all right, I want a little more, I want a little bit more, you know, it gets a little tricky. Sitting through some chop. So things to consider. But yeah, for AI, I think 45 plus ought to do the trick. Oh my goodness, Apple. Jeez. I mean, hey, you know what? At this point, we might as well just go to $200. We're in the neighborhood, right? Now, is Apple extended on a 30-minute chart, an hourly chart, a daily chart? Yeah, a little. Check out that monthly squeeze. What that tells you is the party hasn't even got going yet. Haven't even set up the beer pong table yet. I mean, this fires, guys. We're talking like 220 plus. I hope, selfishly, she pulls back one more time, then we try to catch that monthly squeeze. Speak of the devil. Check the monthly squeeze here in the S&Ps. We are getting closer to a monthly buy signal. Y'all know where I think we're going. Up yonder. Way up yonder. So all is right in the world. Tech stocks are pumping. Market not allowed to pull back. Crazy stuff. Damn, AJ. AJ's out here double dipping. AJ's quick with it. Sees the gap up in AMD, takes his profits, pulls a rug out underneath all of the rest of us, and then he buys it at a beautiful price on the flush. AJ, you're moving and grooving. I love to see it. Yeah, so Bollinger Bands here. I'll take a screenshot and put it in the chat. For what it's worth, I don't have the midline, or I don't like the midline to show. So you could just do that as well. And then visually spice these up however you see fit. But yeah, as far as the settings, I'll put that down here in the chat. And then, so Jay, the red and the green lines, they're just labels that Sam built that line up with that top and bottom Bollinger Band. I'll ask him if I can share it. I'll see if he's cool with that. And if so, I'll throw it in here for you guys. I'm a fan of keeping it clean, so if we can get rid of the Bollinger Bands and just have a couple of clean lines, I think visually kind of nice. Microsoft and Google down a bit still. Just trying to see if the rest of tech is joining the party. Amazon's having a good day. Google, Microsoft a little quiet. It's the Apple Amazon party. Meta is a freight train. Netflix is beautiful. All kinds of bullish action. Hey, Bobby the Noob, 25% is better than a hole in the head. Do any of y'all know if this was news related? Or is it just more so today's a day that ends in Y, and therefore they gotta pump up a tech stock? It could be could be either one of the two. Actually, speaking of Sam's spiel on the standard deviations, let me go. Well, for any of you that are in the options room, check out the premium video that he did on Friday of last week. And then if you go to the free video, which I'll grab here, I'm pretty sure he covered the whole idea in the free video too. Where is he? There we go. Racing to catch up to OpenAI. The oldest trick in the book, huh, Matt? Right now, being the CEO of a publicly traded company, easiest job in the world. Just have a press conference, utter the word AI, and boom. Up goes the market cap. Up goes the year-end bonus. I think Microsoft's news yesterday was the same thing, right? Everybody jumping on the AI bandwagon. And for good reason, I think. For good reason. But alright guys, I think I'm all caught up here in the questions. So Tony, as far as the Big 3 squeeze goes, got a couple more calls lined up. We are going to make it available. It's just kind of mapping out the exact fashion that we're going to do that. And then I did mention earlier, not sure if you caught it, but a couple other things potentially in the works for the Mastery. Potentially. That's the rumor, at least, Tony. So I would say stick around, and I think well, I think soon enough. Got some awesome stuff coming your way in here. But alright, y'all. I think our work is done for today.